This is Serpi. Now today I'm going to be talking about a very interesting case surrounding 4 Jamaicans who were convicted in the multi-million dollar lottery scamming scheme. And this was done in America, so America convicted them. This was not in Jamaican courts. I'm going to tell you now why this is interesting. Next, I'm going to touch on the defense last card. In my video yesterday, I said the prosecution rests in the Klansman trial, but the defense have one last card to play, and then play it. I'm going to tell you what that's about. So, I could start with this scamming thing. When you see them playing there, I left Jamaica in private jet, the Uncle Sam keep us send. Right? Enough scammer get free ride, got fine. We're not going to see Wallet more. Because when you read between the lines and you realize that Uncle Sam, as usual, is trying to find out who really is the mastermind behind all of this. Now I'm going to give you the story, right? And then it's going to make sense to you. This is from Nationwide News. Them say 4 Jamaican nationals were convicted in a US court. Right? Uncle Sam said them swindled over US $300,000, right? Or 46 million Jamaican dollars from unsuspecting victims. According to court filings, it said the scammer contact the victims via phone and post. You know the scamming thing already. I've done several videos on it. It goes on to state that there was at least 67 victims, right? And 25 of them were over 80 years old. That should also be no surprise to him. But here where things get interesting. The US Attorney's Office said the stolen cash was withdrawn and transferred to co-conspirators in Jamaica, and the defendants only retained 25% of the proceeds. The 4 people who get convicted only retain 25%. The other 75%, right now, must have been really going to school, but if them get 25%, then I suppose 75% left. Right? So 75% were to other people. In other words, the 4 people who are convicted are really small fry. Most of the money sent to some bigger scammers in Jamaica. So I thought to myself, I wonder what kind of sentence they might get, because when you start know how much percentage stay with them people here, and how much percentage got Jamaica, you know so you need intel to get that exact figure. It goes on to state that each of the 4 defendants will serve time in a federal lockup. They were sentenced, Romain Gardner and Fabian Gray, to 5 years behind bars. Avia Reed will spend more than 4, and Kalila Powell was sentenced to over 2. 5 years, 4 years, and 2 years. So near them time there, 5 years, 4 years, and 2 years. That's not exactly kingpin sentence. It also go on to state that them have to pay back $350,000 in restitution to the victims. Uncle Sam now go through all this trouble to get scammer in a them country and in a Jamaica to give them man 2 years and 4 years. So when time when you see your favorite scammer them fly out, don't be surprised if you see them fly back in within a year or 2. And then down the road, we're going to start to hear who really are pull the strings. I think we're going to start seeing some bigger indictments. We're going to start to see some bigger scammers, right, fly out. Some people who probably not expect. Uncle Sam just move them people through the system, and I get to understand how the scamming game work and who make it turn. And once them have all of that, things are going to get spooky. So this is one of them cases where we have to just sit back and watch it play out. Just like with the Diet Coke game, enough man that got firing and people are say, that's all him get? You think him will get more? And the next thing I hear, right, some 116s get caught up. Next thing more I touch on is the Klansman trial. Come and tell him, say, defense have one last card. Them finally played. So the defense attorney called back the witness C4 back to the stand because it looked like he thought he had a gotcha moment. Remember, they had all the recordings and the conversations. So the attorney played back one of the conversations where C4 is talking to an undercover police officer. This police officer had infiltrated Klansman separate from C4. So now C4 and the policeman attack amongst themselves because no other Klansman now listen now. Right? So them attack as one former gang member who is working with the police and an undercover police officer, right? Who, well, obviously is police. So at this point, them attack about the case, them attack about the rest of clans, right? And the policeman I tell him what you have to go expect. Policeman I tell him the rest of the plan in terms of who will get locked up, who them have to go identify and them thing. So at one point, them bring up some money argument. $95,000. So this $95,000 right, is what the defense is saying C4 was paid to testify against the Klansman gang. $95,000. When them question C4, him said that is the money right, that the witness protection program is supposed to send over for him so that him could buy him usual food, clothes, and regular supplies they need because remember, at this point, C4 was quote unquote on the run. Right? He never I live in yard and I go to work and not like that. Right? He was now, right, well and truly a part of the operation and wherever he did there, him just sum it up as food, clothing and the supplies them need, right? To stay which part him there. The defense is saying, no, at the money they give you to go testify against clans. So I could look into it. $95,000. $95,000 is what C4, remember originally an eagle eye. Right, remember originally it was C4 bad mind demand them over an eagle eye. Right. And at that time I testify. Now we are here at $95,000. Bear in mind, the conversation the defense lawyer play was recorded by C4. So that means C4 and this undercover police officer recorded themselves doing an illegal act which is paying somebody if you go testify against Klansman. And they not only record it, but then them submit it as evidence and play it in a court because that's how the defense lawyer have it. Right? These were part of the recording submitted. So you must say this part, we not talk about $95,000 and that them bribe you to make you testify. So basically, the defense lawyer want you to believe say C4 and C-Talk record themselves talking about a bribe to C4 and then carry that conversation go submit as evidence. That was the final card. The $95,000 the policeman I tell C4 say the program I go send go give him, that was the bribe to make them testify against Black Man and the rest of clans. $95,000. We could look into it. Which Jamaican, no matter what economic condition you find yourself in, would take $95,000 to go testify against 33 members of the monstrous Klansman gang? Tell me in the comment section, $95,000. The average Jamaican wouldn't take $95,000 to go testify against one Klansman. If you walk out the whole of town, the whole of Spanish Town, the whole of Clarendon, search up and down, ask 10,000 people, would you take $95,000 to go testify against one Klansman? When they get an answer, then ask them, would you take $95,000 to go testify against 33 Klansmen? Right, you have to give up your work, your social life, right? Anybody where you know, forget about that. Everything will be turned upside down for $95,000. That right there, so, is the deal of the century. Since C-Talk gets C4 to testify against Black Man them, the 94, I could do so much. Because this is the deal of the century. $94 or $95,000 divided by 33, because it's 33 people they're on trial. That's, let's just call it $3,000. $3,000 per clansman. That is the deal of the century. We need to take the man them in a seat of who negotiate that deal with C4 and make them become official diplomats. We need them talking to Uncle Sam, talking to the British, talking to the Chinese, talking to the Russians and negotiating deals. We need that kind of skill. Imagine what CETA could get from Uncle Sam if they could just sit down in a room and negotiate with him. Because you must have the greatest convincing power known to man, right? For make somebody say $95,000 to testify against black man, I agree, make a shake on it. So as you can imagine, the whole exposing what people like expect didn't really work out because the conversation was recorded by C4 them and submitted by CTAC them. So that was the first thing. Then let us destroy that part of the recordings. Nobody not care that got court. And the figure 95,000 is laughable. As the witness say, that was the money where them said them I go send go give him. Right, so him can maintain himself wherever him did the food and anything. Because obviously when you're on the program, especially when you're working them kind of operations there, right, you can't exactly go work and go get pay and then go buy food and anything there. So the next thing we'll listen for is the May 24th no case submissions. They're going to see how many of them, right, the judge accepts a no case submission. And then after that, I guess, it's verdict time. It's going to be very interesting. Anyway, Ultra Squad, big up on yourself. Yeah, you don't know, more life. Ultra Squad, stay circling. Bless.